Have you ever felt that flicker, that sense of coincidence where you just feel like something larger, maybe something profound, is at play in your life?
Mm-hmm.
What if those moments aren't just random? What if they're actually glimpses into a deeper reality? Gates, maybe, waiting to be opened?
That's exactly what we're exploring today.
Yeah, today we're doing a deep dive into some fascinating sources. We're looking at hidden wisdom from ancient Egypt, some really surprising insights into consciousness, and even the cosmic forces that might shape our existence.
Absolutely. We got this incredible collection of material. Everything from, esoteric texts talking about synchronicity and suffering, right through to detailed accounts of the pyramids, Egyptian spiritual practices.
Quite a mix.
It really is. And our mission for you today is to try and connect these pieces. They might seem disparate at first, but we think they reveal this rich tapestry of belief. It ties together human evolution, cosmic events, the afterlife. It's all part of one profound narrative. You'll discover how these ancient insights might actually light up paths for your own personal evolution, and how structures like the pyramids, seemingly just stone, whisper secrets about the stars, about the soul.
Okay, let's start there then, with the pyramids. One of the biggest mysteries, right? What's amazing is how, silent the ancient Egyptians themselves were about them.
It's bizarre.
By Tutankhamun's time, maybe 1300 BC, they were already ancient history, 1,000 years old, and the memory of who built them or why, it seems like it just faded.
Yeah, vanished. Even the Greeks and Romans, who were there for ages, didn't seem that interested. We're left with Herodotus, who gives us this mix of, bias and gossip.
Right. Not exactly solid history.
Not really.
Yeah.
It wasn't until the Arabs arrived, 7th century AD, that people seriously tried to get inside and explore them.
So why the silence? Why the focus on tombs over, say, palaces?
Well, the sources suggest it comes down to this unique Egyptian mindset. They saw their houses, their palaces, as temporary, built for a limited number of years.
Makes sense.
But the tombs, they called those castles of eternity, designed to last forever. So that explains why the quality of structures for the living was often way inferior compared to their tombs. It was all about the eternal.
That focus really explains the sheer scale and permanence of the pyramids, and it wasn't an overnight thing architecturally.
No, not at all. The earliest big stone structure we know of is King Djoser's step pyramid at Saqqara. That's attributed to Imhotep, the genius priest architect.
Right, the famous Imhotep. But then you get the true pyramids, those perfect geometric shapes we all picture. They just sort of appear during the 4th dynasty.
And that dynasty itself is a bit of an anomaly, isn't it?
It really is. The sources describe it like it arrived like the Egyptian phoenix, a sudden golden age of engineering. Unbelievable skill, scale, and then just suddenly it's over.
And the kings from that time, they didn't put their names all over the pyramids. No inscriptions inside like later pharaohs did. Which raises questions. Were they seen as individual monuments? Or part of some single massive project for humanity? Some researchers think these kings didn't see themselves as individual owners at all.
Which is a very different way of thinking. So what were they for? Just tombs?
Well, that's the big debate. Some, like the 2nd and 3rd pyramids, seem pretty clearly tombs. But others? Well, there's this researcher mentioned, Mr. Proctor, who suggested maybe they were observatories or astrological buildings, like a gigantic horoscope.
Wow, a horoscope in stone.
Yeah, and the Great Pyramid specifically, it didn't have the usual funerary chapels you find elsewhere, and that underground chamber, totally unfinished.
Adding to the puzzle.
Exactly. And then you look inside at the features.
Like the shafts.
Precisely.
Yeah.
The kings and queens' chambers have these weird ventilating shafts. You just don't find them in other tombs. And the really odd thing, they were sealed up when the pyramid was only half built.
Sealed, so they weren't for ventilation then?
Doesn't look like it. It strongly suggests they weren't for any contemporary use. The source says they were provided for the future.
Deliberately hidden?
For the future, like a time capsule.
Kind of. And the Queen's chamber shafts weren't even cut all the way through initially. They only found that out by accident in 1872 when they were explored.
That is incredible foresight, building for the distant future, leaving a message.
And that idea connects to something called messianism in the ancient East. A belief, a prophecy about a nation of builders. Their symbol was the year circle.
the year circle.
which the sources say is the basis of the Great Pyramids measurements. It's metrology. So it's not just architecture, it's like a statement, a cosmic message maybe, waiting for a future civilization to understand.
A civilization ready for their messianic message. Okay, so to grasp this level of thinking, we need to go back even further, right? To the very beginnings.
Exactly. The sources point us to pre-dynastic Egypt, before the pyramids. Civilization was evolving fast. Farming villages grew into these proto-nomes, early clusters of settlements, driven by competition for land, probably, especially in the Nile Valley.
Likely. This precocious development, the source calls it, and the rise of strong leaders. It suggests kingship, the whole dynastic system, might have started at Hierakonpolis.
Hierakonpolis, that was a major early city.
Huge, and maybe 500 years earlier than people used to think.
Wow. What was life like there?
We see craft specialization, pottery, metals, flint tools, and social structure is clear from the burials. The mortuary expenditure, basically how much effort and wealth went into tombs, shows a stratified society. Elite tombs were big, impressive architectural settings. They even had early versions of mortuary temples and rituals.
And writing started around then, too.
Crucially, yes. There's a tomb UJ mentioned. It had signs painted on pots, incised on labels, a formative stage of hieroglyphs. And early kings' names start appearing on serics,
Sorry.
those symbolic royal crests. Basically, power and knowledge are getting formalized, recorded.
Which leads us perfectly into the pyramid texts. These sound incredibly important.
They really are. Discovered in 1880, the oldest and best came from Unis's pyramid, around 2300 BC. Think about this. They're considered the oldest religious corpus of writings discovered anywhere in the world.
Older than the Old Testament.
By 2 millennia. Yeah.
Incredible. But you mentioned there are challenges in understanding them.
There can be. The sources warn that sometimes appointed experts will often not let the writings speak for themselves. They get stuck in philological debates, arguing about exact word meanings.
Instead of the bigger picture.
Exactly. It can cause more confusion than elucidation.
Ugh.
So the goal here is to try and let that ancient wisdom come through directly.
And when you do that, what's the core message?
A key theme, loud and clear, is the dead king becoming Osiris. Osiris Unis, they say, and his destiny. To become specific stars in the region of the constellation of Orion. They called it Sahu.
Not just floating off into the sky, but a specific stellar destination in Orion.
Very specific. And this connects directly back to the Giza pyramids layout. Think about their alignment.
They aren't in a straight line north-south, are they?
No, they're aligned along their southwest axis. The third pyramid is offset to the east, yet each pyramid sides face the cardinal points perfectly. North, south, east, west, and the main axis, the entrance, is always north-south.
So a deliberate cosmic map.
It certainly looks that way, an architectural link to the heavens. And the precision is just staggering.
Like those shafts again.
Exactly. The southern shaft in the King's Chamber of Cheops Pyramid. It points right at El-Nitak, the bottom star in Orion's belt, around 2450 BC.
Wow.
The southern shaft in the Queen's Chamber points to Sirius, Isis Sirius, around 2650, 2600 BC. A spot-on match, the source says, to Flinders Petrie's measurements of the slope.
And the northern ones?
The northern one in the Queen's Chamber. The one found by Rudolf Gantenbrink's robot in the 80s with that little portcullis door and copper fittings.
I remember that.
That one points to the head of Ursa Minor, the Little Bear, around 2450 BC.
The precision is mind-blowing. There was also something about relics found in a shaft.
Right. Back in 1872, a guy named John Dixon found this cigar box. It's literally what Piazzi Smith called it in his diary, inside the Queen's Chamber northern shaft. Inside were things like a small bronze instrument, maybe a hook, and a piece of cedar wood.
What were they?
Smith described them as strangely small and delicate. It made people wonder, were these maybe sighting instruments the builders used to align the pyramid itself? Tiny tools for a giant project.
So the texts and the architecture are speaking the same language, this astro-architectural language.
Precisely. It's a unified vision, a cosmic blueprint built into stone. And the Osiris myth fits right in, especially in this astral context.
How so?
Remember Osiris's missing phallus in the myth? Symbolically, it's linked to Orion's belt. If you look at the constellation figure of Orion and the nearby heights, the belt is right in the place of the phallus. So the shafts themselves might have played a fertility or phallic role in these stellar rebirth rituals. The pyramid texts are quite explicit. Isis comes to you rejoicing for love of you. You have placed her on your phallus and your seed issues in her, she being ready as Sothis, Sirius.
Wow, that's direct.
It is, And the correlations keep going. Other 4th Dynasty pyramid sites, Zayat al-Aryan, Abu Ruwash, they flank Giza, just like the stars Saiph and Bellatrix flank Orion's belt.
Like a mirror image on the ground.
It seems like it. The pyramids at Abu Sir match Orion's head. Dashauer matches Aldebaran in the Hyade, seen as Orion's arm. It's like the entire Memphis necropolis, the whole area was designed as a giant map of Osiris-Orion on Earth. The leg, phallus, shoulder, arm.
A colossal undertaking, but how could they align things so perfectly to stars from so long ago? Don't stars move?
They appear to, yes, due to precession. It's the Earth's slow wobble on its axis, like a spinning top slowing down. It takes about 26,000 years for one full wobble. And this wobble makes the stars appear to shift their position in the sky over long periods. Orion's belt, for example. Around 2N 10400 BC, it was low, maybe 11 degrees above the horizon at its highest point. By the Pyramid Age, it was much higher, around 45 degrees. Today, it's even higher, maybe 59 degrees.
So the fact that the shafts align to specific stars at a specific altitude confirms the date. Around 2450 BC.
Exactly. It points to incredibly sophisticated astronomical knowledge and locks in that time frame. They weren't just building big, they were building with cosmic precision.
Amazing. So these structures point outward to the cosmos, but our sources also turn inward, don't they, to consciousness?
Yeah.
Starting with this idea of synchronicity.
Yes, a real philosophical shift in the material. What if those coincidences, those synchronicities we notice, actually reveal something profound? Maybe even, as one source puts it, God's presence.
Described as a gate.
A gate, yes, to a reality which is highly superior to the one you live here. And understanding this is seen as essential for happiness.
Which brings up the difficult topic of suffering. How does that fit in?
Well, the sources acknowledge that just having clarity, just understanding things, isn't enough to eliminate the origin of suffering. But there's also this idea of a hidden space within us, a part that suffering can never fully overwhelm.
Like a core of resilience.
Something like that. A part of us that knows both the cause and the solution to the problem. And overcoming great suffering is framed as an important step on the ladder of personal evolution.
So it's transformative.
Potentially, yes. Connecting to this inner peace and quiet, even if the pain is still there, brings comfort. It's about shifting perspective.
It sounds like inner work is crucial. A superior understanding and inner transformation are needed for what they call a savior solution.
Right, and our thoughts are key. There's a powerful line. What they think is what they will experience in their lives. Despair actually closes the door to potential help.
So conscious intention is vital.
Absolutely. Which then leads into this really complex, almost sci-fi idea from the sources. Time travel.
Time travel. Okay, now you've got my attention. Not like in the movies, I assume.
No, definitely not a DeLorean. It requires developing an active, pure, and efficient subtle structure within yourself. Activating 7 force centers, or chakras. The technology described involves modulating specific energy related to what are called elevated frequency of time cliches, or Akashic cliches.
Akashic cliches, like the Akashic records.
Seems very similar. Think of it like accessing a cosmic database, a universal file archive. If you can achieve a deep state of harmony, you can access any file, any past event.
Fascinating. Is it just consciousness traveling, or the body too?
The sources make a distinction. Time travel with the consciousness is one thing, but time travel with the physical body is possible, though it requires much higher energy. It specifically mentions using the neck and umbilical force centers.
And what's that like?
The physical experience is described as involving a faithful rendition of perceptions of the 5 senses, so a full sensory immersion in the past event.
Incredible, and this links back to the pyramids.
Potentially. The sources suggest these mysterious underground chambers, like the ones we find in Egypt, were built with a purpose. A clear purpose for it to be eventually discovered by humans and for them to use the information here.
Another deliberate message across time.
Exactly. A legacy waiting for us to evolve enough to understand these deeper connections, inner and outer.
Let's go deeper into that cosmic wisdom, mummification. We think of preserving the body, but the sources suggest something more profound.
Much more. They suggest the Egyptians mummified because their initiates, people with advanced spiritual sight, could see into the future.
Oh.
And this practice, guided by what they call high individualities, think advanced spiritual beings, actually shaped how we see the world as we do today. It gave souls incarnating here a disposition, a tendency to seek spiritual experience while in a physical body.
That's a huge claim. It connects to a whole cosmology, doesn't it? A different view of Earth's history.
a radically different one. Initially, Earth was this fiery, seething mass, lots of powerful water forces, and early humanity, described as fish amphibian, made of soft fluid material, breathing differently.
Fish amphibians, okay.
And the spiritual hierarchies were different too. The most exalted beings, the pleroma, went with the sun, while Yahweh, or Jehovah, became the leader of the Earth plus Moon entity. The Moon hadn't split off yet.
Moon hadn't split off.
According to this source, no. Earth had to expel the Moon, along with its grosser substances, to allow human evolution to proceed in a specific way.
So there's this cosmic separation, this interplay of forces, sun versus moon.
Precisely. The sublime light principle, that of the sun, versus the principle of darkness, that of the moon. Sun forces are described as stimulating, moon forces as mummifying.
Mummifi.
In the sense of hardening, fixing form. The source puts it dramatically, if the sun vanished, we'd become mummies. If the moon vanished, our movements would become convulsive, uncontrolled. We are inserted between these two forces, balanced.
And Osiris fits into this sun-moon dynamic.
Yes, Osiris is seen as the sun's influence. His opponent, Set or Typhon, is linked to the forces that cause breath to enter into us, leading to the cycle of birth and death. Osiris himself went to the moon and reflected the sun's light from there.
Reflecting the sun from the moon.
And in doing so, this god formed the 28 moon aspects, linking to the lunar cycle. This, the source claims, laid the groundwork for the 28 nerves in man, shaping our whole upper body.
28 nerves, that's specific.
It is, and the Greeks apparently picked up on this. They equated Osiris with Apollo. They saw the brain as Apollo's lyre and the nerves as the strings. A beautiful image.
It really is, and this connects even to human sexuality.
It does. Isis and Osiris, acting as spiritual beings on the moon, influenced the division of the initially unisexual, virginally reproductive human form into two sexes. This happened via nerve filaments.
Wow, so our very biology is tied to this cosmic drama.
According to this view, yes. It's depicted symbolically in the threefold Isis: Mother Isis, the vulture-winged astral Isis, and the lion-headed etheric Isis, showing the evolution of form and consciousness.
It's a lot to take in. This cosmology even tackles the problem of evil, doesn't it?
It does, head on. It asks, why did evil and ugliness have to come into existence at all?
And the answer?
It's quite profound.
Yeah.
They had to come into existence because without them, something else would never have come to birth. Man would never have been able to become a self-forming, self-contained being.
So challenges, even darkness, are necessary for our autonomy, for our evolution.
That's the implication. A necessary part of the process of becoming truly individual, self-determining beings.
This kind of deep understanding must have been cultivated somewhere. You mentioned initiation schools.
Yes. In these ancient schools, thinking wasn't just abstract. Thinking had such mastery there that it could influence the physical body in a comparatively short time.
Influence the physical body, huh?
Pupils didn't just learn facts. They had thought forms implanted in their soul. They would meditate deeply on the archetype of modern man, the ideal human form and consciousness, even if their own nature was still, say, of the lion type, more primal.
Imprinting an ideal.
Exactly. The vision was the universal ideal of mankind, and the goal was to bring this picture to realization within themselves, transformative thinking.
But this high level of consciousness didn't last. There was a decline.
The sources speak of a darkening of consciousness over time.
Yeah.
In earlier ages, humans apparently had much clearer awareness in devachan. That's the afterlife state where souls prepare for the next life.
Okay.
But this clarity declined steadily, especially up to the Greco-Latin period. The mystery traditions, the initiation schools, they existed principally in order to enable man again to illuminate his consciousness.
To counteract the decline.
Right, and all the previous initiates, the source suggests, were forerunners of the Christ, who ultimately came to endow man with a godly consciousness, restoring that potential illumination.
What were the initiation rituals like? They sound intense.
Extremely. Candidates were put into a death-like condition for 3.5 days.
3.5 days?
Yes. During this time, their etheric body, the life energy body, was said to leave the physical body and unite with the astral body, the body of emotions and desires.
And what happened then?
In that state, they could perceive spiritual realities directly, see the true form of Osiris, Isis, and Horus, even experience the Sphinx appear to him as a real form, not just stone, a direct encounter with the archetypes.
Incredible. Why did consciousness darken in the first place? What caused this debasement?
The sources attribute it to retarded intruders on Earth beings who lagged behind in their own evolution. They infuse the human astral body with lower instincts and passions, and with egoism,
Leading to
a darkening of judgment, what we might call error or illusion, and also illness, which is seen as having a spiritual root cause. Humanity lost its fine instincts as to what was not right for him. We became more susceptible to harmful influences, inner and outer.
There's a hierarchy mentioned too from a source called Theurgia: gods, souls, demons.
Yes, it lays out a clear structure. Gods are pure mental essences, perfect, capable of doing all things at once. Souls like ours are inferior and imperfect. Demons are described as psychic beings existing on a level between gods and souls.
In divine action.
The theurgic energy, the power behind divine works or miracles, comes from the gods alone. It also clarifies that thinking in terms of multiple personal demons is erroneous. Instead, unity holds dominion.
And the ultimate goal.
Flight consists in being assimilated to God. Union with the divine source. It's a very Neoplatonic sounding framework embedded here.
Okay, all this cosmic and inner knowledge seems to converge in the Egyptian view of the afterlife, the journey through the Duat.
Yes, the underworld journey.
Yeah.
A core belief right from the earliest times was the reconstitution of family life in the otherworld. People expected to know their relatives and friends and would be known by them.
That's comforting.
It is. And this belief is ancient, found with the oldest human remains in Egypt. The use of bitumen in early mummification is evidence for how far back this goes.
And Osiris is central to this afterlife hope.
Absolutely central. He's the god of the resurrection. He had a divine origin, but lived as a man, was murdered by Set, brutally dismembered into 14 pieces,
The famous myth.
and then resurrected to the magic of Isis with help from Thoth. Because of this, he became the king of the underworld and judge of the dead. He is the type of the resurrection and the symbol of immortality.
And the judgment itself, we have depictions of that, right?
Vivid ones, yes. Like in the Papyrus of Ani. The deceased person's heart is weighed on the great balance against the feather of Ma'at, truth. The text says the heart is weighed, and his soul hath stood as a witness for him. It hath been found true by trial.
And if they pass.
If found righteous, true of voice, they gain entrance into the presence of the god Osiris, and are granted a homestead forever in the field of peace, the Egyptian paradise.
The Duat itself, the underworld, what was it like?
It's the realm the sun god Ra travels through each night, from sunset to sunrise. It's also the path the deceased soul takes. It has 4 great tuats, or divisions, kingdoms associated with different gods like Seeker, Osiris in different aspects, Temu-Khepera-Ra.
So Ra's journey mirrors the soul's journey, from darkness to light.
Exactly. It's a journey of transformation, death, and rebirth, enacted daily by the sun god and eternally by the justified soul.
Who travels with Ra on his boat.
A whole crew. Kashu, representing air or life force. Hero Hikanu, who knows the magical formulae needed for the journey. SA and HU, personifications of knowledge and intelligence or command.
And protective figures.
Yes, the great serpent Mayan coils around the central cabin, forming a protective canopy. Underneath is the flesh of Osiris, the divine essence being rejuvenated. There are also fearsome beings like the monster serpent Amk Shu, the eater of the spirits, representing the dangers of the underworld, and figures representing all of humanity: Egyptians, Libyans, desert dwellers, Nubians, showing Ra's universal dominion.
And judges, besides Osiris.
Yes, judicial figures play a role. The Kuroha, the holders of the time of life, who seem to determine lifespan, and the Chachao, the great chiefs who write the edicts of destruction against the damned. They also kept Osiris's records, like divine scribes or recording angels.
So, a complex bureaucracy even in the afterlife. How does the journey end?
The sun god emerges victorious. He passed out of the Tuat even as he entered it with praises, leaving Osiris, the lord of the Tuat, behind, ready for the new day. For the individual soul, the goal was the creation or perfection of the Sahu, the spiritual body. It springs from the physical body, transformed by rituals, and the journey itself, ready for eternal life.
Wow, what a journey we've been on. From these massive physical pyramids, seemingly silent but pointing to the stars, all the way to these incredibly deep, intricate ideas about consciousness, suffering, cosmic history, and the soul's eternal journey.
It really covers a vast landscape.
It's clear these ancient people were wrestling with the biggest questions, weren't they? Trying to understand our place in this huge, interconnected cosmos. Questions we're still asking today.
Absolutely. And what strikes me, what's truly fascinating, is how these different sources, whether they're from, hidden esoteric traditions or literally carved into the walls of pyramids, They consistently point towards a reality beyond what we usually perceive. They really challenge us, not just to look at what's obvious, but what lies beneath the surface. What are the forces, cosmic and internal, that shape our consciousness? And how might our own inner world hold the key to unlocking what one source called that highly superior reality?
It leaves you thinking.
It really does. And maybe it raises an important question for you, listening right now. How might paying attention to those hidden patterns, those synchronicities in your own life, how might that open a gateway for you? A gateway to a deeper understanding of your own path, your own personal evolution.